This is a real-life story of a Nazi who became an American hero. In 1944, a German U-boat carrying Hitler's treasure sunk to the bottom of the Baltic Sea. The ship was called the Wilhelm Gustloff, and it was laden with gold bars, diamonds, and other precious gems that Hitler had looted from across Europe. Life was good until the Nazis took over and turned his life upside down. While there, he learned that he had been signed up for submarine warfare. As a former Nazi soldier, he was targeted by the French authorities who occupied his hometown. They rounded up former Nazis and threw them in prison. His first task was to locate the treasure that had been hidden in East Germany. He managed to track down one of his former colleagues, who revealed that the Nazis had stored 22 tons of gold in a salt mine near the town of Mersdorf. The medals and plaques he received over the years filled an entire room in his house. Yet despite all the accolades and honors he received from Americans, Paul remained a controversial figure in his home country of Germany. What we do know is that the CIA had a policy of returning stolen items to their countries of origin. He was once a loyal member of the Nazi Party, but later became disillusioned and helped bring the Nazis to justice. To some, he is a hero who helped bring an end to Hitler's reign of terror. Before you leave, be sure to subscribe for more stories of amazing adventures, and remember to stay tuned for new updates. Thank you for watching. To others, he is a villain who profited from Hitler's crimes. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Germany has repeatedly asked the United States to return Nazi treasure, but the U.S. government refuses. What is known is that the Nazis stole art alone worth between $600 million and $1 billion, which translates to over $2 billion in today's money. During the war, Allied bombing raids destroyed a significant portion of this collection. What wasn't destroyed was smuggled out of Germany and hidden in places like salt mines, castles, and private homes. After the war ended, the Allied forces set up a special unit called the Monuments Men to recover the missing art. They were mostly successful, but some pieces are still missing to this day. They say they don't possess any Nazi gold. Regardless, Germany remains skeptical and believes the U.S. government is hiding something. How could he not be? After all, he was a former Nazi helping the Americans steal more Nazi treasure. Many Germans felt he was nothing but a traitor. And this was unhelped by the fact that many of the items he helped steal were cultural treasures that belonged to Germany and not Hitler. A team was quickly assembled, and they raced against time to find the gold before the Soviets did. In 1995, he was indicted for tax evasion and sent to prison for 6 months. He served his sentence and returned home only to be diagnosed with cancer. On December 16, 2021, at the age of 92, Paul Hepler died of cancer at a hospital in Bremen, Germany. He left behind a legacy of controversy and mystery. It was a race they won. They recovered the gold and shipped it back to the U.S., where it was melted down and reshaped into 440-pound bars. Paul managed to escape to West Germany after 5 months and changed his name to Peter Harbs. He tracked down hidden treasure all across Europe, from Swiss banks to castles in Austria to a farmhouse in Belgium. There was even an instance when he managed to save an entire trainload of treasure from falling into Soviet hands. In the end, he helped recover nearly $2 billion worth of Nazi loot. He started a new life and married a woman named Mary Ann. Eventually, he got a job with the police force. But his past still haunted him, and he was constantly worried about being exposed. The young man didn't want any part of that. They would clear his criminal record and grant him citizenship. He could help them recover some of the gold that the Nazis had stolen. During World War II, gold was one of the few assets that the Nazis had hoarded and taken with them as they fled the Allied forces. They had stashed this loot in various places across Europe, hoping to use it to rebuild their economy someday. The problem was, nobody knew where the gold was hidden. The Germans had covered their tracks well, and the Allied forces hadn't found much of the treasure. This was why the CIA went to ex-Nazi soldiers like Paul Hepler. They had first-hand knowledge of Nazi operations and might be able to lead the CIA to the hidden loot. So he deserted. He hid in Berlin for several weeks, trying to lay low. so the Nazi war machine wouldn't find him. But eventually, he was captured and sentenced to 4 years in a labor camp. Fortunately, he never made it to the camp. His sentence was commuted. Due to an Allied bombing raid that destroyed most of the prison, he ended up spending the rest of the war working in a factory making fighter planes. Like all young boys, he wanted to have fun, play video games, and hang out with friends. But under the Nazi regime, children were forced to join Hitler Youth groups. Young Paul was enrolled in the Hitler Youth at age 13 and forced to wear a uniform, salute Adolf Hitler, and learn how to fight. He hated every minute of it. When he turned 17, he was eligible to be drafted into the German army. But because he came from a family of seafarers, he managed to get himself into the Kriegsmarine, the Navy, instead. It was being transported to the safety of Sweden when it hit a mine and sank, taking 3,000 Nazis with it to their deaths. And for 78 years, the location of this sunken ship remained a mystery. But in 2022, a man named Paul Hepler finally revealed where the lost vessel lies. For this revelation, he was awarded the German version of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Here's his incredible story. Paul Hepler was born in Kingsburg, Germany in 1929. That's modern-day Kaliningrad in Russia. When he joined the Navy, he was sent to a boot camp in northern Germany, where they taught him how to fire weapons and fight in the sea. When the war ended, Paul knew he was in big trouble. In 1962, he got a lucky break. He was recruited by America's Central Intelligence Agency. The CIA offered him a deal. Paul agreed to the deal and was soon on a mission to recover some of Hitler's stolen wealth. But this was just the beginning. Over the next 3 decades, Paul Harper helped the CIA retrieve hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Nazi loot. For such dedicated service, Paul was given the CIA's highest honor, the Intelligence Star. Paul retired from the CIA in 1993, but his problems didn't end there. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding Paul Hepler is what happened to all the treasure he helped steal. Another enduring image surrounding the death of Paul Hepler is that of a conflicted man. As for the treasure itself, there are conflicting reports about how much the Nazis stole and how much they lost. What do you think of Paul Hepler's story? Do you see him as a hero or a villain? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.